the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance webinar commemorating National Stormwater Day. My name is Scott Taylor, and I'm going to be your co-host along with Seth Brown, our Executive Director. We're supported in this webinar by the Water Environment Federation, the Low Impact Development Center, the Washington Stormwater Center, the University of Minnesota, the Desert Research Institute, the University of New Hampshire, and the Southern California Coastal Water Research Project. Go ahead and give us the next slide, Seth. It was on November 16th, back in 1990, that the Phase 1 program was established. I encourage you to visit the Stormwater Day website that you see here. We'll maintain this throughout the year and add a little bit of more information as well. It has a media kit available to promote Stormwater Day, and we also highlight some of the other stormwater awareness efforts around the country, as well as our Stormwater Champion, which you're going to hear a little bit more about that in just a minute. The purpose of the Stormwater Day is to raise public awareness about the importance of stormwater and the work that MS4s are doing. Next slide. This is just a list of all of our supporters, and we thank them. Next slide. Just want to talk a little bit, go ahead to the next one, a little bit about NMSA. We're a national 501c3 focused fully on MS4 programs. Specifically, NMSA is helping MS4s to improve program effectiveness while also improving the stewardship of their resources. Next slide. We count about 26 state organizations as members, along with some cities and affiliate organizations. The vision for NMSA is clean water for the nation. And you can see a little bit about who's joined around the country on the map there. And also, if you're interested in becoming a member, click on that QR code. Next slide. So we have a great program today, and at this point, I'm going to let Seth, our Executive Director, introduce our speakers and take it from here. Seth.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Again, National Stormwater Day, this is our third time doing this, and as Scott mentioned, this is our day to just celebrate the work that stormwater professionals do, that MS4s are doing every day, and again, highlight other stormwater awareness efforts across the country. So these are the great speakers we got lined up today. We were going up for an hour. We usually do this an hour and a half, but we thought we'd make it, short and sweet, make it a lunchtime thing. This is a lighthearted type of event, so we're going to cover a lot of things quickly, which is fine. We're going to start with Lori Larson-Pugh talking about the Washington Stormwater Center and their Stormwater Awareness Week, which is great. Elizabeth Fasten-Beck is here. She's going to be talking about what's going on in the Center of Excellence down in the Southwest that she is co-leading. Jamie Houle with the University of New Hampshire Stormwater Center is going to be talking about his role with the Water Environment Federation and the leader of their stormwater community. Emily Clifton, who is the Executive Director for Low Impact Development, is going to talk about our National Stormwater Champion this year. We'll kick right into that shortly. And last but not least, Andy Erickson is going to be here talking about the Cold Climate Center of Excellence that's just been launched and that NMSA is a part of. So thanks everybody for being part of this as speakers. So I'm going to move things forward and just quickly talk a little bit about some housekeeping, just so everyone on here knows. We've got, looks like about 150 folks have joined us today, which I greatly appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to celebrate National Stormwater Day. This webcast is being recorded. It'll be available after this. In an email, we'll send you, we'll post it to our YouTube channel, and that link will be provided in an email after this event, maybe a couple days later. Take some time to process that. The PDF of all the slides that are being shown today are already available. If you go to your go-to webinar app, there's a handouts section of that. So you guys can be able to download the PDF there. If you can't find it, you can email me. My information will be available at the end of this event. We're gonna have one PDH available, and if you have any questions, we don't really have Q&A built in today, because again, this is just we're just sharing information and really not as interactive as some other webinars are. But if there's some questions that you have, let me know. If there's any technical issues you're having, use the chat function, and I'll try to keep an eye on that. So I think that's everything. So without further ado, I want to start things off here, focusing on our National Stormwater Day champion. This is something that we're doing every year to recognize folks that really have dedicated their career to all that we do and all that we love here. Make sure that everyone understands and appreciates what these leaders have done and what they can continue to do. So this year we are recognizing Neil Weinstein. And you can see all his information there. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'll just say that just real quickly, Emily, before I hand it to you, Neil has been a friend and a colleague of mine for decades. I was an intern with him when I was in grad school. So those who know Neil, to know Neil is to remember Neil. I think he's a very memorable character. So anyway, he's a great guy, and I want to make sure that we take time to recognize all that he's done. And so the best person to do that is Emily Clifton, who's been working closely with him for a long time at the LID Center. So Emily, take it away.
All right, can you hear me? Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, thank you. It's really an honor to speak about Neil today and to recognize him for all of his contributions to the field. Just a real quick introduction. I'm Emily Clifton. I'm with the not-for-profit Low Impact Development Center, established by Neil. We are a group of professional civil engineers, planners, landscape architects, and designers, and GIS specialists who focus on providing technical assistance to federal, state, and local governments on low impact development and green infrastructure technologies and environmental resilience. So to know Neil is to love him. If you don't know him, he really is one of the earliest champions of the ideas of low impact development and green infrastructure. When he started the LID Center back in '98 in Prince George's County, Maryland, it was with the purpose of advancing these, science-based approaches to stormwater, these practices intended to work with nature instead of against it. That idea is accepted now, but at the time it was a pretty novel thinking. It was a big shift in thinking. And really to understand the impact he had, it's important to remember where the field was when he got started. In the 1970s and 80s, stormwater management was still primarily focused on flood control. The Clean Water Act kicked in 1972 and called for the restoring the biological, chemical, and physical integrity of our waters. But the tools weren't quite there yet to do that. At least the tools for managing non-point source pollution weren't there. Detention ponds, which were used for flood control, kind of pointed to as, the practice to use, but they didn't really do enough to remove pollutants effectively. Here in Prince George's County, though, where we're based in Maryland, there was one innovative thinker at the time that was really kind of starting to push the envelope and reimagining what stormwater management could look like. That was Larry Kaufman, another name hopefully a lot of you know, from Prince George's County Department of Environmental Resources. He started actually beginning to push these ideas of low impact development and bioretention. I think he coined those terms, all of these ideas of what we're familiar with today, using green spaces to slow down runoff, spread it out, and let it soak into the ground. Around this time is when Neil and Larry hooked up. Neil actually joined Larry's efforts as a contractor through Tetra Tech to help test and model these ideas over at Prince George's County. And then in 1998, with the help of Larry and a small group of colleagues, should mention Robert Gu and Rod Frederickson from EPA, Neil sort of took this leap of faith and went on his own to create the Low Impact Development Center with this full intent of championing these ideas on a national scale. And Neil, he was really uniquely qualified to take on this challenge. He's not only a civil engineer, he's also a landscape architect as well as an APA certified planner. So he kind of had it on all fronts. He's super smart and just as charming as can be, which is really surprising. But Neil, in partnership with others, really went on to implement some influential early pilots. Some of the people who are on this panel today too, these demonstrations and research efforts that all helped to provide that proof that was needed for low impact development to start gaining credibility and eventually become the widely accepted practices and approaches that they are today. So Neil really helped shape these national conversations. He co-chaired the early ASC Green Highways and Green Street conferences. He was original signer of EPA's Green Infrastructure Statement and Intent when that came out. And he led work across the country from some of these early pilots, even in implementation of a demonstration project over at EPA's Ariel Rios headquarters, a small to today's standards Green Street project over in Edmonston, Maryland. He provided a lot of trainings and along with, colleagues from this panel helped prepare some of the first LID manuals for various communities. He also helped prepare a decision support system for Navy facilities to help determine when and where it was appropriate to implement low impact development technologies. He partnered with universities to test emerging practices, and he also helped to implement new codes and ordinances. I'm not 100% sure, but I think actually his efforts with the Friends of Rappahannock over in Warsaw, Virginia in the early 2000s might have been the first time that a community's codes and ordinances were updated to allow for LID features to be implemented. So just suffice to say, Neil has helped design and implement countless projects over time. And because of this effort and his dedication, he really has helped move the needle in seeing low impact development, green infrastructure, environmental site design, whatever you want to call it, as a set of promising ideas back then to more mainstream practices they are today. And Neil, of course, would be the first to give credit to just about everyone else, except for himself, for these accomplishments. He'd also probably make some really bad jokes, but he would also be quick to say that this work isn't finished. Aging infrastructure, increased development, new precipitation patterns, and the ongoing flooding and water quality challenges they bring mean that the field continues to evolve, and we still need more dedicated funding to research and evaluating innovative technologies. But really, for Neil, what stands out to us, many of us, is Neil himself. Like Seth said, he's a kind person. He's hilariously funny. He's generous with his time, and he's always willing to help others. So suffice to say, this recognition today is well deserved, and it really is a privilege to honor him and to speak about him today.
Thanks, Emily. I really appreciate it. And again, I totally agree with everything you said, and you're right. I think the thing I would underline here is, you're right. There are two things for certain for Neil, if he were here right now, is he would tell a terrible joke, but he would pull it off. That's the thing. He would pull it off. I don't know if I can pull it off, but he can always pull it off. And he would also be he'd say he's the last person who should deserve recognition, but those are the typical people who deserve the most, frankly, I think. So I appreciate those words, Emily, and I just want to make sure everyone, we all tip our cap to those who have gotten us here. So thank you for that information and sharing your thoughts and feelings on that, Emily. Appreciate that. Move on and talk about some highlights real quickly from the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance and from WEF. And I'm joined here with Jamie Hoole from the UNH Stormwater Center, is also the chair of the WEF Stormwater Community and the vice chair at NMSA. And he's out on the road somewhere. I'm not sure where exactly. Where are you, Jamie, by the way?
I'm in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Great state of Rhode Island. Yeah, tip of the cap to Neil. Not everybody knows he's also a great saxophone player.
Saxophone, and he's a great trumpet player, right?
Oh, trumpet, yeah.
Yeah, I almost added in a picture of him playing the trumpet, but
Yeah, that was one of the highlights of going to ASCE events and EWRI events is to see Neil wailing away. So you're right. I'm going to walk through some of these, Jamie. I'm going to, because I just want to make sure we don't dwell. We want to make sure.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jamie.
I'll just start off and then hand it back to you. So one of the efforts that WEF and the stormwater community are committed to and remain committed to is the every 2 years we run the MS4 need survey. So many of you responded, and thank you very much if you helped us this year by responding. It's one of the things that we track over time, the municipal needs around the MS4 permit. So a lot of this information also gets used in the ASCE stormwater report card. So we're committed to continuing to do it, and really thankful for your continued support and contribution to this worthy tool. I think one of the things that we identify is this tremendous gap between the funding needs we have in the stormwater world and then what's actually provided. So I think surveys like this continue to highlight that gap and identify the needs that, again, feed into other things, the ASCE report card, as well as our National Policy Fly-In Day, which will be next April. So hopefully you guys can join us for that and continue to help support these efforts around assessing the critical economic needs in the stormwater sector.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And that's great context here. These surveys have been critical, absolutely critical for the sector, like you said, especially to support the ASCE report card and getting stormwater on the map and continuing to have stormwater on the map. So you're right. What I'm sharing here are just preliminary results. These have not been totally vetted, so nothing here is finalized, but it's consistent information, what we've seen in the past. So these are the most recent survey information. This is hot off the presses. This is the 2024 survey. And again, I also agree with Jamie. And thank you for folks who have helped us get this over the line. Just some quick highlights here, as has always been the case, and will probably likely be the case for a long time. Funding and financing is a top need. It's not surprising to anybody. We're seeing a consistency in the national funding gap over there on the funding and budget side, and the fact that over 60% defer expenditures because of a lack of funds. That's interesting. And we see more of an impact on the smaller communities when it comes to proportional budget gaps, which is a really important finding, and that's something that we need to address. For resilience, we see still there's only 35% of communities that have expressed that they have a resilience plan overall, and that's design standards are still we're seeing more of this coming through, but there's challenges there, and lack of funding, just like everything else, is limiting us as well. And we also see, which is consistent with what we've seen in the past, with about a third of the folks have said that the federal program is really getting us across the finish line, which is something that we need to definitely address. Just comparing over the years on what we've seen over the last, this is the fourth survey. Not all the same questions have been asked in all of them. Most of these questions have been asked consistently, so we can start to see trends. So for instance, resilience planning, well, we only have 35% that have gone into resilience planning. That's a bigger portion than what we've seen in the past. That strikes us as something that is probably true, and it makes sense. And hopefully we'll see more of that. Thinking about Neil and folks like that who have focused on low impact development, green infrastructure, natural based solutions, whatever we want to call it, we're seeing an increase in green infrastructure adoption over time, which is a good thing. All right, we're seeing an evolution here. And in asset management planning, we're seeing a kind of inconsistency there. So that might be an area we need to focus on a little bit more in all of our organizations' efforts. Looking at the budgets over over these different surveys, we're seeing again consistencies, consistent responses here, with about between $20 and $35 billion for a total sector budget for MS4s, and a budget gap of about $7.4 billion. So that's consistent with what we've seen in the past, which again underpins the fact that we're seeing some consistent results. There must be some significance to that. And the last point on the survey that's really worth highlighting is, again, going back to this question about can the federal MS4 program meet the clean water goals in the near term, or in the long term, I mean. And we're seeing, again, consistency in the fact that it's about a third, saying that yes, no, and unsure. So overall, we're seeing some consistency that 2/3 at this point say that they're not, that's not, or you're not going to work out, or that there's a lack of certainty. Again, that should tell us that we need to think about changes in the program. We're not scrapping the program, obviously, but we're saying that we should see some changes there. So those are some highlights that we could share. Thanks to Lisa Deason at the Water Environment Federation for pulling that stuff together for us. Jamie, anything else you want to mention before stepping away from that?
Nope, great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to mention a couple highlights. I'm going to go through this quickly. And again, the reason I'm going to go through these quickly is because there's going to be QR codes and links. You can check those out on the handouts. I want to mention the NMSA's largest or most significant program step, stormwater testing and evaluation for the products and practices. That's our environmental technology verification program for stormwater infrastructure. Is made a lot of leaps and bounds and made a lot of changes. You can always check that at stormwatertesting.org to get more information. But the bottom line is that we have lab-based verification services available now for trash capture technologies, hydrodynamic separators, and we're also doing what's called concurrence verification, which is taking verifications from other programs and bringing them into our own kind of a reciprocation, that type of thing. Reciprocal kind of verification focus. We are adding filter technologies in the lab-based testing environment later this year, probably going to be early 2026 at this point. We've got 4 applications that have come in for verification, and our first verifications are going to be done very soon. We're finalizing a couple of them right now. I'm not going to go through this whole slide, but here's information if you want to join. We're looking for more and more communities to join. If this program isn't supported by the public, it's not going to sustain. So this is something that we need communities and states to join on and to help us out and move this forward to sustain this. I also want to mention that NMSA teamed up with American Rivers, which is an environmental NGO that has a focus on stormwater, including other areas focused on the rivers in the country. We have formed a National Stormwater Leadership Coalition. This is early days. This is going to take about 1.5 years to 2 years that they're going to go to this. We're pulling together now folks in these different areas, practitioners, industry groups, researchers, environmental NGOs, and what we're trying to do is find a common area or set of actions to move the sector forward. There's a void of leadership, so we're trying to pull everyone together to get on the same page. It's more or less what we're talking about. There'll be more information on this in the future. There's not much to report out now, but we wanted to mention that this is going. Jamie mentioned the National Stormwater Policy Forum. We're going to be doing this again. This is, I think, the 9th or 10th time that this is going to be held. It's going to be on April 13th this year for 2026. I would love for you guys to join us here in the DC area for this and go to Congress, because that's something that we need to do as a sector more. We did it last year with great success, and we've had a lot of success in legislation in the past. We'd love for you guys to join us here. It's a half-day event typically, and then again we go to the Hill the next day. And it's also, you can join online if you can't make it in person. Want to mention again that Scott talked about our membership. This is all this information here about how to join. I'm not going to go over that right now, but we have a robust, we've updated our online robust membership portal. So it makes it easier to join us. And there's different options. And as an MS4, you can even join for free. This is something that's new, so you can test out our organization and then hopefully upgrade from there. And we also are offering online bulk training for different types of topics. You can use that QR code to get more information on that. Also, a membership comes with this bulk training as well. So, love for you guys to check that out. So, without further ado, I want to pass this off to Lori Larson-Pugh, who's really done a great job of growing her own stormwater awareness program in Washington. So, I'm going to hand it off to you, Lori.
Thank you, Seth. Next slide. It was through my participation in the NMSA board. I learned about National Stormwater Day in 2023 and went back to this Washington Stormwater Center staff and said, hey, what if we put an event together leading up to Stormwater Awareness Day? And so for 2024, we planned a week of events. They included live trainings, online presentations, volunteer events, a press kit so that we could promote this event across the state of Washington. We worked with permitted jurisdictions to get proclamations of their own in their own community to help build awareness and partnership across the state on this topic. And we have, you see a picture of our website and a link down below. We have all the presentations that we held during the 2024 and the 2025 awareness weeks online for people to see. Next slide, please. These are some statistics from the 2 events that we have held. And you can see that in 2024, we had 919 participants, and we increased that to 1,158 this year. We have it online, but we also have some in-person trainings. And then this year we added tours. We had a tour with the city of Tacoma, which showed different BMPs that they have installed for stormwater in urban and residential areas. We also, because we support the municipal, the industrial, and the construction general permits, we had tours this year that we implemented for the industrial permit and had 3 locations where our industrial permittees also went. And then we had some in-person training on illicit discharges and small spills. And then all these events are free, and we focus on the public and the permittees in the state of Washington. Next slide, please. We weren't able to record the live trainings, but all of the presentations, as I said, are on our YouTube channel, and you can see any of those. We had Seth come and present, so we give not only a statewide perspective and share information, but we provide a national perspective also. Seth, next slide. And here's an example of our Tacoma tour where we visited 3 distinct sites. This engaged not only permittees who can share their experiences, they had field staff out there, they had engineers out there, they had their administrative permit managers, and it was a great networking opportunity also. Next slide. And then the industrial tour featured small permittees and how they're dealing with stormwater BMPs. And then we went up to like Boeing, who has a very high-tech system, and we were able to share with people all these different resources, technology, lessons learned with permittees across the state. Next slide. And then we developed press kits and social media because the permits in Washington have a lot of education and outreach requirements. So we focus on trying to help the jurisdictions and the permittees meet those needs by preparing tools and resources for them. Next slide. And then the proclamations. This is a great way for us to work with different jurisdictions, gain excitement, and then we also work with the jurisdictions to identify events that they're having and encourage them to create public events to acknowledge stormwater. and they get these proclamations, and then we post that on the website along with a list of volunteer opportunities and lessons that people can learn and actions they can take to protect our freshwater bodies in the state of Washington. And I think that's the last slide, Seth. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I think I want to just mention, I think that idea about proclamation resources, we're trying to help others do what you're already doing and learn lessons from what you've done, and we're trying to spread this across the country. So I really appreciate that's really a unique way of doing that, providing those templates and getting folks to proclaim what we're all trying to do here about stormwater and be more aware. So thank you for that information. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent, thanks. Now we're going to hear from Elizabeth Fassman-Beck to talk about, I'll go to the next one, the Stormwater Center of Excellence for Stormwater Technology. I'm sorry, Stormwater Center for Stormwater, Southwest Center for Stormwater Technology Excellence. Can I ruin that one more time, please?
We'll get there eventually, Seth, no problem. Hey everyone. Hey everyone, happy Stormwater Awareness Day. Thank you to NMSA for inviting me to share with you a little bit of an introduction about the Southwest Center for Stormwater Technology Excellence. We're one of the 4 EPA-funded Stormwater Centers of Excellence. My name is Elizabeth Fassman-Beck. I'm the head of the engineering department at the Southern California Coastal Water Research Project, and I co-lead the Southwest Center with my colleague Alan Havart from the Desert Research Institute, which is in Nevada. Next slide, please. So you can see our partners here, our primary partners that are part of the Center for Excellence, the different research leads and the different center leads. We've got an interesting consortium of partners here. We've got 2 public research agencies with SCORP, that's my agency, SCORP, and the Desert Research Institute, DRI. We've got a couple of academic partners, Stanford, University of Arizona, and UCLA. And we've got 2 nonprofit municipal support agencies, the Arid LID Coalition, which is a coalition of practitioners, industry leaders, and municipal agencies, primarily around New Mexico. And the Water Now Alliance, which is a funding and financing nonprofit who's based in California, but is a nationwide organization. Next slide, please. You can see on the slide here the 5 priority topic areas that we intend to tackle with the Stormwater Center of Excellence. The Stormwater Centers of Excellence overall are really about making technology more accessible to the public and to municipal partners and MS4s. So our priority topic areas are around BMP monitoring and assessment. How can we make monitoring cheaper and more accessible so that we can get better empirical evidence on how our BMPs are doing for treating stormwater and managing stormwater problems? In the arid Southwest, our biggest problem is just the lack of water overall. So stormwater is seen more and more prominently as a resource, but the technology or our understanding of what we need to do for stormwater treatment, stormwater capture, treatment, and use lags behind what we have been doing as a nation in terms of stormwater treatment for discharge to receiving waters. So we have a focus on stormwater capture, treatment, and use for augmenting water supply. We've got another emphasis area on planning for impaired waters, because after all, TMDLs are a huge deal, particularly here in the Southwest, and that's driving a lot of the implementation. Funding and financing, I noticed that on the WEF survey that this is the biggest need. Well, we're here to address that directly. Our partners at the Water Now Alliance, this is what they do every day. They work with municipal partners for our municipal agencies to identify funding and financing strategies for water infrastructure projects. And they're also a part of the EPA Region 6 Finance Center, Environmental Finance Center. And then finally, of course, outreach and engagement. How do we effectively reach stakeholders with all this information, all this massive, fantastic information that's coming out of research centers, municipal agencies who are trying and trying again, learning and trying again? How do we get that information out to the stakeholders? Next slide, please. so that we can all learn from each other. Overall, you know, the programmatic priorities include conducting research on new and emerging stormwater technologies. And the biggest one, I think, from my side is providing technical assistance. There's a lot of know-how, there's a lot of great information out there. It's getting it out. There's a lot of information that's out there that hasn't been shared more widely because our design manuals, our regulatory documents really lag behind the research innovation and what municipalities are learning with their practical experience. So our job, we see, is to get that information more widely out there. And of course, this fantastic collaboration between universities and public and private organizations. Next slide, please. Ultimately, what we want to do is try to translate these research outcomes and technological advances into very accessible information. And that's going to come out in different forms and formats depending on what the specific topic is. But we envision everything from state of the practice documentation to fact sheets to webinars and training videos, newsletters, and we'll have two in-person workshops, one in 2026 and one in 2027. Next slide, please. I think I've really talked through much of this, but really our job is to try to help expand and better inform the community of practice and focusing in on regionally relevant technologies. There's so much work that's been done in stormwater and BMPs that's been in the temperate and more rainy climates. Rain is one thing we don't have the luxury of in the arid Southwest, and so we really do have a need for more tailored solutions to manage our stormwater problems. Again, just emphasizing that funding and financing piece. Sorry, I also want to mention that we have a dedicated stream of inquiry trying to promote getting more data into the International Stormwater BMP database, which if you're not familiar with it, please look it up, bmpdatabase.org. It's a fantastic public resource, freely available, the biggest repository of empirical BMP monitoring data that there is. Next slide, please. Here you can see the contact information for all the people in our Southwest Center, but I understand that you have the slides, so we can just get on to the next slide. And I think that is it for me and for us at the Southwest Center. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the presentations.
Thanks, Elizabeth. There is one question that came in that asks, what are you guys starting with? What's the first thing out of the block?
Everything all at once. The centers have a really tight timeline, and of course with the government shutdown, that's really put a hamper on getting going. So we're in a little bit of limbo actually at the moment. Because just from an administrative standpoint, which is a terrible answer to your question. But I do know that I can tell you that I have, so one of my role is in the BMP monitoring topic area, and I have a lot of those resources pretty much ready to go. So I think you'll see some of these resources out of the gate on BMP monitoring and like use of low-cost sensors for monitoring and some online tools that make data processing a lot faster and consistent that are free, available to use. I think you can see those in early 2026.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Sorry I didn't put you on the spot like that, but I mean, I think we're all still in planning mode, and Andy's here to talk about where we are with the cold climate center. So Andy, without further ado, I'll get out of your way. If you just I'll go to the next slide and you want to give us an outline of what's going on.
That's great. Thank you, Steph. And thank you everyone for being here. As Elizabeth talked about the Southwest Stormwater Center of Excellence, I'm going to go the opposite direction. We're going to talk about our Cold Climate Stormwater Center of Excellence. As Elizabeth said, one of 4 national centers. I'm so excited to be co-directing this with Jamie Hull from the University of New Hampshire. You can go on to the next slide. We are also partnering, as Seth said at the beginning, with the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance. And again, this should be pretty obvious, but you know, stormwater runoff has significant impacts. This is why we have a National Stormwater Day, to address the impacts of stormwater. Cold climates present some very unique challenges to stormwater managers. We struggle in a variety of different ways, and not unlike some of the struggles in other places, but different aspects that we have to think about. How does chloride from road salt affect our stormwater treatment practices, for example? So we're addressing these challenges with what we're calling the Cold Climate Stormwater Center of Excellence. As I just said, it's a partnership between the University of New Hampshire, where I'm at, the University of Minnesota, and with Seth Brown and the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance. Next slide. Our full team, though, has a number of experts on from these institutions working on a variety of different things. We're very much the same as Elizabeth just said. What are we starting with? Everything all at once. So we've tasked these folks with tackling a number of the challenges, which I'll talk about today. I'm very thankful for this entire team. It was a lot of start, stop, uncertainty at the beginning. We didn't know if we were going to get a contract. We were awarded it, but not a contract, and then that waited, and then all of a sudden the contract came, and it's like, go, go, go. So we've been very excited to get going on this work. On the next slide, you're going to see some of the things that we are trying to do. This has a couple of animations. Our three main initiatives are research, technical assistance, and collaboration. You will see, actually, if you get a chance to see all four centers and what we're all doing a lot of the same types of things, but very much focused on our particular regions and our particular, what I'd say our region's major challenges. But we are all doing a lot of the same things. We're also trying to provide technical assistance and information to those in cold climate communities and municipalities. We're also trying to collaborate across a very broad spectrum of stormwater experts, both in academics and institutions, which I'll talk about towards the end as well. But these are our three main objectives. I'll talk a little bit about each very quickly. Next, please. So the three main research areas that we're tackling first in this first phase of funding that we have, the first is bioretention media. So rain gardens, bioretention, biofiltration, bioinfiltration practices have some challenges of their own. Inherently amongst all bioretention is the potential to release phosphate from the organic matter inside that rain garden design. That problem is actually exacerbated by road salt. So we're doing a number of research projects, both at University of Minnesota and New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire, to investigate innovative media, to try to overcome that challenge, find different design specifications that will minimize the downsides and try to emphasize and maximize the opportunities and benefits of bioretention media. Now, I will mention this really is only a problem, the phosphate issue is really only a problem if you have an underdrain. If it's a biofiltration practice, that's where you can release phosphorus back to the surface waters. So those are the types of situations we have to deal with. But that is a problem in cold climates. It's exacerbated by road salt. So we're tackling that problem. And the next animation you're going to see, we're also talking about salt training. So there are a number of programs, a relatively small number of salt training programs in cold climates across the US and in Canada. These salt training programs are providing training and education for salt applicators so that we know how to properly apply road salt and not provide excessive road salt onto our surfaces, but still providing enough to keep our roads safe. As I said, there's a small number of these training programs, and there's actually many people, many municipalities, many constituents in cold climate regions that don't even realize there's salt training programs out there. So we're putting together an inventory of these salt training programs. We are going to look at these programs for success and lessons learned, and then we're going to take all of that knowledge and we're going to share that back out to municipalities. And the inventory will be very valuable in that, again, if you are in a municipality that's not aware of salt training programs in your area, but you'd love to be a part of that or take part in that, the inventory will tell you what are the expectations, what are the costs, what's the duration, can I attend online only or do I have to be in person? Those are all the things that you can get from the inventory. And if you're in a municipality that wants to develop your own salt training program, lessons learned and guidance and templates from these existing training programs can be implemented in your area. That's what we plan to share with the cold climate region and through our Stormwater Center of Excellence. And then we've also saved some money for rapid response research. We recognize that we don't know everything. We'll even admit that we don't know everything. So we are relying on a technical advisory committee, which I'll talk about in just a couple slides, to help us identify and prioritize research needs so that we can tackle those problems. And we actually reserved some funding out of this first set of funding to tackle what we call rapid response research. We will respond to those needs and we'll do that research within this phase of funding and deliver that as part of this project. So on the next slide, I talk a little bit about some of our technical advisory committee aspects. So the amount of funding that was provided for establishing these stormwater centers of excellence was not as much as it was originally promised. So we have to be very careful about what we do and what we tackle in this first phase, recognizing that we couldn't have funded partners across the entire cold climate region of the US, which is essentially the northern half of the US. You're going to see on a map here shortly. We decided instead to have a small number of funded partners and create a voluntary technical advisory committee, as I just said, to help identify and prioritize stormwater research needs in cold climates, but then also be our partners in the communities. We don't know where these things need to go. We don't know who to contact in municipalities across the cold climate region to distribute the things that we're putting together and get out to the communities. So we're relying on these partners to help us translate research results, connect us with local trainers, and either train the communities or maybe do train the trainer opportunities locally so that we can establish and build stormwater education and training programs all across the cold climate region. On the next slide, I believe we can see a map of where we have representatives and where we're still missing a few. We've worked really hard to try to find people in different places across the cold climate region. Wherever you see a blue check mark, that's where we have at least one representative. That doesn't mean that you can't be a representative. If you would like to be on our technical advisory committee, you can email me. My contact information is provided and will show up in a slide or two. You can reach out to me and I will add you to our technical advisory committee. We meet twice a year to talk about what's going on in our cold climate Stormwater Center of Excellence and ask questions of you, the TAC. Wherever you see red circles, that's where we don't have a representative yet. So we still need folks in a few places. If you are in one of those places and you're willing to step up and be on our technical advisory committee, again, please reach out to me or Jamie. Next slide, please. So the last thing I want to talk about, that's kind of technical assistance. We talked about research, technical assistance through our technical advisory committee and a number of other opportunities. We're doing training, we're doing seminars, we're doing a variety of other opportunities to get the information out to municipalities and other entities. But we're also doing collaboration activities. So as I said at the beginning, the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance is one of our funded partners through our Cold Climate Stormwater Center of Excellence. They're going to help in a variety of ways related to programmatic, financial, and technical research and needs. We have our technical advisory committee that I just mentioned that creates partners all across the cold climate region. And then we're also partnering in some ways with the other stormwater centers of excellence. These 4 national centers meet regularly. We discuss what we're all each doing a little bit and what we need to be thinking about going into the future. That will only continue to grow as the 4 centers kind of get our feet under us and get moving. We also, in our Cold Climate Center, have a tribal college program and partnership that's actually training the next generation of stormwater managers. This is working at the college and high school level to develop skills that will create the next generation of stormwater managers. Similar to what Elizabeth mentioned, we're going to host a symposia to share and showcase the work that we're doing and partner and connect with our partners to understand what the needs are and share out the resources. And then we are also presenting at a number of conferences. I list a couple coming up in the next few months or so, but there are a number of others. So watch for us to be presenting in a number of places. I think that's all I want to say on this slide. I think the next slide is the last one. So again, if you would be interested in being on our technical advisory committee, or if you just have questions, if you're curious and you're not sure, please reach out to me, please reach out to Jamie. We can answer all your questions, and if it's not a good fit for you, that's fine. If you can help us find somebody else, that would be excellent. We are looking for a few more representatives, and we're always looking for input from all of our stormwater partners.
Thanks, Andy. And I'll also mention that being part of this Center of Excellence, you can also reach out to me, and I can run things down for Andy and Jamie as well. One question came up that I wanted, well, a couple, but we only have time for one or two.
That's fine.
One is on, so I'm going to go back to this map if I can. There's Canadian provinces shown. Is that still going forward, or
So we are. That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. We recognize that our Canadian partners are learning lessons just as we are, and they are struggling and they are overcoming cold climate challenges as it relates to stormwater. So there are some things that we can learn from our cold climate neighbors in Canada. This is a voluntary technical advisory committee, so we don't pay anything to our members. They do this on their own voluntary time, and they're donating their time and expertise to us to really build the knowledge as much as we can. Funds are not going out to Canada, if that's specific in the question.
Not about funding.
They are a resource.
Not about funding, just to be clear, just about is the Canadian, how are they going to be involved? I think is really what the question boils down to.
So as I mentioned, we have 2 meetings per year of our technical advisory committee, and we send emails out regularly. We have a quarterly newsletter that we have to send out. So we communicate with our technical advisory committee, and then they respond back sometimes with answers to our questions. For example, we were asking in the most recent technical advisory committee meeting, we asked about this bioretention research. What media components are we missing? What, if anything, have you learned really doesn't work, so that we don't have to learn that lesson again? On the salt training, we asked questions about salt training programs, and are there some programs out there that we're not aware of that's not already on our list or our inventory? If so, could you share that information with us? Or is there a municipality or an entity that has a wonderful salt management program that we can make into a case study? So we ask those questions, and our technical advisory committee, including our members in Canada, share what they know. So it's all about sharing knowledge. It's all about learning from what's already been done, not reinventing the wheel, not duplicating efforts. And that's all about sharing information and knowledge.
Yeah, and that's part of what we're going to be doing as part of the collaboration group and doing some outreach and technical assistance, is to see, like you said, I think there's so much that's going on that across the country and across different countries, right? That the more that we can collaborate and do lessons learned, peer-to-peer learning, that's the best level of learning that you can have, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that's what we want to make sure that we can facilitate, whether they're in Canada, whether they're in the US, is what we're saying.
Right.
The bottom line.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. Appreciate all, and we'll
Thank you
all
so
be
much for
back in
having me.
touch. Yeah. We're going to definitely be following up in the future as part of the Cold Climate Center, and we're going to be trying to highlight other centers of excellence as we move along for webinars like this and other events as well, like StormCon, as Andy mentioned as well. So, Scott, as we're wrapping up here, do you have any concluding thoughts? We got some time here. Not that we have to take all of this time up. People can get their time back, and we've had 170 people on board the whole time here, so it's a great turnout. I appreciate everybody being here. But anyway, you want to share your wisdom here?
How about I'll conclude instead? No, it's great. Just watching these presentations, it's great to see the centers of excellence come to fruition. This is something that WEF and NMSA have advocated for in our ask document that we provide to Congress for years. So again, really gratifying, and I really look forward to see what comes out of this and participate in it. Just overall, for stormwater programs to be successful, we must have public support. And one of NMSA's primary objectives is to raise the profile of stormwater to help make that happen. And Stormwater Day is just one way that we're working towards this objective. So please go to NMSA. It's MS4, the number 4, NMSA.org, or you can Google it. There it is on the screen. Look through our site and consider to becoming a member. We have a new, as Seth mentioned earlier, no-cost member option. So that's it for today for me. We look forward to having another great Stormwater Day webinar next year. And thank you to all the panelists and for all you for attending. I'll turn it back to Seth.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all the speakers. I appreciate everyone joining us. And again, I want to do a final thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for everyone. Yeah, turn your cameras on, and we appreciate everybody being on board. If you're still there, I don't know. There she is. There's Emily, and Jamie's still in Pawtucket, I guess, right in the parking lot somewhere, which is great. No, but thanks everybody, and Lori too. Thanks for making this a great Stormwater Day, our third. And as Scott mentioned, we plan on doing many more in the future. So please be aware of that. And again, I want to go out just again recognizing our Stormwater champion, Neil Weinstein. So we want to make sure that we recognize the leaders, or especially the early leaders like him who have gotten us to where we are today. So anyway, with that, we'll say goodbye and have a great rest of the day and your weekend too.